In the ancient world, identity was everything. Kings were known by their lineage. Priests were known by their tribe. Families preserved their bloodlines for generations. Yet in the pages of scripture there appears a man who seems to exist outside genealogy. No father is named. No mother is mentioned. No ancestry is recorded. His name is Melchizedek. He appears suddenly in the narrative of Abraham, blesses him, receives a tithe from him, and then disappears into mystery. For centuries, theologians have asked, who was this priest? A historical ruler, the survivor of an ancient priesthood, a descendant of Noah, or something far more mysterious? To understand the mystery of Melchizedek, we must first return to the world of Abraham. Around 2000 BC, the ancient Near East was filled with powerful city-states. Kings ruled fortified cities. Trade routes connected Mesopotamia with Egypt and Canaan. Abraham himself had come from the ancient city of Ur, one of the great centers of early civilization. Archaeology reveals Ur to have been a sophisticated metropolis. Massive temples called organized government, advanced trade networks, complex religious systems devoted to many gods. Yet Abraham was called to leave this world of polytheism and follow the one true God. He journeyed west into the land of Canaan, but the peace of his new life would soon be interrupted by war. Genesis chapter 14 records one of the earliest military conflicts preserved in human literature. Four powerful kings from the east formed an alliance. Among them was Chedorlaomer, king of Elam. For 12 years, the cities of the Jordan Valley had paid tribute to this Eastern Empire. But in the 13th year they rebelled. The rebellion triggered war. 5 local kings resisted the invading armies, including the rulers of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. The battle took place in the valley of Sidon. The result was devastating. The Eastern kings won. Cities were plundered. People were taken captive. Among those captured was Abraham's nephew Lot. When Abraham heard that Lot had been taken, he did something remarkable. He armed 318 trained men born in his household. This suggests Abraham was not merely a wandering shepherd. He was a wealthy tribal leader with a private militia. Abraham pursued the invading kings northward and launched a surprise attack. Against overwhelming odds, he defeated them. The captives were freed. The stolen goods were recovered. But the most significant moment occurred not on the battlefield, but on the road. As Abraham returned from victory, he was met by a mysterious figure. Genesis 14:18 says, "And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High." Melchizedek was both king and priest. This was extremely unusual in the ancient world. His name means King of Righteousness, and his city Jerusalem, then called Salem, means peace. Thus Melchizedek is King of Righteousness, King of Peace. These titles echo powerfully through later biblical prophecy. Melchizedek blessed Abraham, saying, "Blessed be Abram, by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth." Then Abraham gave him a tenth of everything. This moment is profound. The patriarch of Israel acknowledged the authority of another priest, a priest who did not belong to Abraham's family, a priest whose origin remains unexplained. Ancient Jewish scholars proposed a fascinating idea. Melchizedek might have been Shem, the son of Noah. Biblical chronology suggests Shem lived long enough to overlap with Abraham's lifetime. If this interpretation is correct, the meeting between Abraham and Melchizedek becomes even more extraordinary. It would mean Abraham was standing before a man who had lived before the flood, a man who had witnessed the destruction of the ancient world, and a man who preserved the knowledge of God from the earliest generations. Another fascinating tradition appears in the second book of Enoch. According to this ancient narrative, Melchizedek was born miraculously. His mother died before childbirth, yet the child emerged alive and already speaking praises to God. The archangel Gabriel, seeing the coming flood, carried the child to the Garden of Eden for protection. After the flood, Melchizedek returned to serve as priest of the Most High God. Though not part of canonical scripture, this tradition reveals how ancient writers attempted to explain his mysterious appearance. Among the ancient manuscripts discovered near Qumran were the Dead Sea Scrolls. One text, known as 1-1 Kumelchazet, portrays Melchizedek as a heavenly deliverer who will proclaim liberty and judge evil at the end of days. In this text, he is depicted almost as a divine agent of God's final judgment. This shows how deeply the mystery of Melchizedek fascinated ancient Jewish thinkers. Centuries later, another reference appears in the Psalms. The king, David, writes in Psalm 110, "You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek." This prophecy suggests that the future Messiah would hold a priesthood older and greater than the priesthood of Israel. The New Testament identifies the fulfillment of this prophecy in Jesus Christ. The Epistle to the Hebrews explains that Jesus' priesthood resembles that of Melchizedek. It is eternal, not based on genealogy, established directly by God. Thus, Melchizedek becomes a prophetic shadow of Christ. Just as Melchizedek was both king and priest, Christ is both king and high priest. One detail in Genesis has fascinated theologians for centuries. Melchizedek brought bread and wine. The same elements later appear in the Last Supper of Christ. For many scholars, this moment foreshadows the sacramental symbolism of the New Covenant. The story of Melchizedek stands at the crossroads of mystery and revelation, a king without genealogy, a priest before Israel, a man who blessed Abraham, whether he was Shem, a miraculous priest preserved by angels, or a symbolic foreshadowing of Christ. His presence reveals something profound about the biblical narrative. God's plan for redemption did not begin suddenly. It unfolded across generations, from Adam to Noah to Melchizedek to Abraham and ultimately to Christ.